Mom, there is no out there for people like me. Just put yourself out there. My daughter heard this from her therapist, her coworker, her college roommate who married her high school boyfriend. Everyone had the same advice, but nobody had the same life. She came home one evening and told me, Mom, everyone keeps telling me to put myself out there, but there is no out there for people like me. She was not being dramatic. She was being accurate. And that is when I knew the advice was broken, not her. Here is the thing about this advice. It assumes you live in a world where you can walk into any bar, any party, any app, and the person next to you could be the one. For most Americans, that is roughly true. But if you are Indian American, the math is completely different, and nobody talks about it. 5.4 million Indian Americans live in the United States, according to Pew Research. That makes us the second largest Asian American group in the country. Sounds like a huge pool. Now do the math nobody does. You are Preeti, 28, living in Seattle. Remove everyone outside your age range. Remove everyone outside the Pacific Northwest. Remove everyone who is already married. Remove everyone who does not share your values on family and faith. 5.4 million just became 300 people in a city of 4 million. 300. That is not a dating pool. That is a waiting list. And someone tells you to put yourself out there. Where exactly? The brewery on Capitol Hill? The company happy hour where you are the only Indian woman in the room? I am not exaggerating. I have talked to hundreds of Indian Americans across the country, in New Jersey, the Bay Area, Dallas, Chicago, Houston, Atlanta. The story is the same everywhere. The pool is small, the filters are real, and generic dating advice was never designed for this reality. Now here is what makes this even more complicated. You are not the only person making this decision. The Carnegie Endowment conducted the most comprehensive survey of Indian Americans ever. 1,200 respondents, peer-reviewed. And here is what they found. 80% of Indian Americans partner with someone of Indian origin. For the foreign-born generation, 85%. Even for US-born Indian Americans, 71% still married someone of Indian origin. And 40% of US-born Indian Americans married someone who was born in India. Not someone they met at a college party. Someone from a process. This is not a casual preference you can swipe past. This is a structural reality that involves your entire family. Your parents have opinions. Your grandparents have opinions, your community has views, and you are sitting in your apartment trying to find someone who works for all of them and also gives you butterflies at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. A doctor in Houston told me this at a wedding. He said, I can find a date by Friday, but I cannot find someone my parents will respect and I will love and who is also vegetarian and open to living near my parents when they get older. That is 5 filters before chemistry even starts. Everyone says figure out chemistry first and figure out the rest later. But for Indian Americans, the rest is not background noise. It is the entire foreground. Ignoring it does not make it go away. It just means you discover the deal breaker on month 6 instead of day 1. Now let me talk about the solutions people keep recommending. Everyone says just use the apps. Download Hinge. Put up some good photos. Write a clever bio. And look, a Stanford study found that 39% of heterosexual couples now meet online. That is real. Apps work for a lot of people. But here is what actually happens when Preeti does that. 3 dates before she discovers he does not want kids. 4 dates before she realizes he will never move to the East Coast where her parents are. 6 dates before religion even comes up. She spent 6 weeks and 12 hours of her life to discover something she could have known in the first 5 minutes if anyone had built a system that let her set those filters up front. And I want to be fair. Apps are not evil. They were built for a specific kind of dating. Low context, high volume, one person decides. Swipe, match, text, meet, click or do not click, repeat. That model works beautifully when your only real filter is attraction. But when your filter includes religion, community, diet, location, family values, career expectations, kids' timeline, willingness to live near aging parents, and, oh, by the way, your mother needs to at least be okay with this person, then swiping through 400 faces is not a solution. It is a time machine that takes you nowhere. Now look at the other side. Traditional matchmaking platforms like Bharat Matrimony have over 100 million registered users across their platforms. That is massive reach. But here is the trade-off. Your photo is visible to thousands of strangers you never consented to see it. Your marriage profile gets forwarded on WhatsApp to families you have never met. Your mother's friend's neighbor is browsing you like a catalog at 10 p.m. while watching TV. The privacy is non-existent. You have zero control over who sees your information, who shares it, and who shows up at your door because Auntie thought you two would be perfect. So here is the gap. One side gives you volume without context. The other gives you context without privacy. Neither gives you both. And that gap is where millions of Indian Americans are stuck right now. That is why I built VivaahReady.com. Not from a business plan, not from a market analysis. I built it from watching my daughter on our couch one Sunday evening, exhausted and done and ready to give up on the whole thing. She did not need a bigger pool. She needed a smarter filter. She needed to know that the person she was about to invest weeks of her life getting to know actually shared her non-negotiables before either of them wasted a single conversation. 25 deal-breaker categories: religion, community, diet, location, family involvement, kids' timeline, and more. Both people must align on their deal breakers before a single photo is revealed. And here's the part that changes everything. Her parents could see the same matches she saw, same platform, same information, no secrets, no going behind anyone's back. She stayed in control. They stayed involved, nobody was performing, nobody was hiding. For the first time, both sides were in the same conversation. That is not a feature list. That is what respect looks like when you actually build it into a system. Now, here is the reality of where we are right now. Parents are talking at their kids about marriage. Kids are ignoring their parents about marriage. Dating columnists are writing advice for a version of dating that does not exist for Indian Americans. And app algorithms are optimizing for engagement metrics, not for the thing that actually matters, which is whether two people and their families can build a life together. In the middle of all this noise, someone is sitting in their apartment in San Jose or Edison or Plano or Fremont, deleting a dating app for the third time, wondering if something is wrong with them. Nothing is wrong with them. The system was never designed for the actual complexity of their life. One of our early members told me something I think about every single week. She said, "For the first time, I feel like I am looking for someone instead of performing a search that was designed for someone else. That is what it feels like when the system finally fits." If anything in this video made you think that is exactly what I have been trying to say, here is one thing you can do this week. If you are the one searching, stop explaining yourself to people who do not share your context. Stop performing a dating life that was designed for someone with a completely different set of constraints. And if you are a parent watching this, I have one request. Ask your child one question this week. Not when you're getting married. Ask them, what do you actually need from me in this process? That one question changes everything. I promise you. VivaahReady.com. Every profile reviewed by a real person. Photos hidden until mutual match. Both generations in the same conversation. Come ready to have a real one.